Hello students and welcome to the English YouTuber. Today we're going to learn about The Thief's Story, which is written by Ruskin Bond. So in this video we are going to look at the line by line explanation of the story, and before we go towards that we will discuss the summary first. The protagonist in the story is a 15-year-old boy who is an experienced thief who takes a new name every month to elude his former employers and police. So elude means hide so that you don't get caught. He meets a 25-year-old man called Anil during a wrestling match and asked him if he could work for Anil, who in turn said, "I won't be able to pay you, but I will teach you to write and calculate, and that he should cook for him in return." The protagonist says that his name is Hari Singh. Hari made a small amount here and there while shopping, but apart from that, he never cheated Anil because he felt Anil was the most trusting person he had ever seen. Once when Anil made a large sum of money by selling a book to a publisher, the thief Hari was tempted to steal the money and he stole it and decided to run away. But his conscience did not allow him and he returned the money as Anil was still sleeping. However, Anil and he realized that Hari had tried to steal the money but returned it. He, instead of punishing Hari, promised to pay Hari and also teach him sentences. He forgave him because he had returned the money and decided to give Hari a chance to reform himself and turn into a new leaf. So this is the summary of the story. Now let's go into the line by line explanation. I was still a thief when I met Anil. And though only 15, I was an experienced and fairly successful hand. So the protagonist is 15 years old and he's saying that even if he's just 15, he's quite experienced and he's fairly successful because he hasn't been caught much. Anil was watching a wrestling match when I approached him. He was about 25, a tall, lean fellow, and he looked easygoing, kind, and simple enough for my purpose. So what was the thief's purpose? To actually cheat this man. And since he looked kind and simple, he felt it is the best kind of person to cheat. I hadn't had much luck of late and thought I might be able to get into the young man's confidence. So he thought, since this man looked very kind and easygoing, that he could easily cheat this person. "You look a bit of a wrestler yourself," I said. "A little flattery helps in making friends." So he wanted to have a conversation starter and he thought that what better than flattery to start the conversation. "So do you," he replied, which put me off for a moment because at that time I was rather thin. That means his flattery didn't work. "Well," I said modestly, "I do wrestle a bit." So maybe he wrestles when people try to catch the thief and he runs away. "What's your name?" "Hari Singh," I lied. "I took a name every month that kept me ahead of the police and my former employers." So the reason why he was fairly successful could be that he took a new name every month and the police and the employers could not track him. That is how he eluded from everyone's eyes. After this introduction, Anil talked about the well-oiled wrestlers who were grunting, lifting and throwing each other about. I didn't have much to say. Anil walked away. I followed casually. "Hello again," he said. I gave him my most appealing smile. "I want to work for you," I said. "But I can't pay you," said Anil. I thought that over for a minute. Perhaps I had misjudged my man. So he thought, since he's a very kind and easygoing man, he could easily convince him to pay. But since he said he couldn't pay right up front, he thought maybe he has misjudged this man. I asked, can you feed me? So he asked, at least can you give me some food? So Anil said, can you cook? I can cook, I lied again. So this thief is also a liar. So here what did he lie? He lied his name, Hari Singh first. And the second lie was that he could cook. If you can cook, then maybe I can feed you. Okay, so they made a pact that I will let you stay at my place and I will feed you, but in turn you should cook for me. He took me to his room over the Jamna sweet shop and told me I could sleep on the balcony. But the meal I cooked that night must have been terrible because Anil gave it to a stray dog and told me to be off. But I just hung around, smiling in my most appealing way, and he couldn't help laughing. Later, he patted me on the head and said, never mind, he'll teach me to cook. He also taught me to write my name and said he would soon teach me to write whole sentences and to add numbers. Okay, so how did Anil help the thief, which is Hari Singh? So Anil helped him by providing him food, and also he said he will teach him how to cook, write his name, and also to write whole sentences and also to calculate. I was grateful. I knew that once I could write like an educated man, there would be no limit to what I could achieve. So he was uneducated, and that is why he had to resort to thieve, to steal and rob other people. It was quite pleasant working for Anil. I made the tea in the morning and then would take my time buying the day's supplies, usually making a profit of about a rupee a day. I think he knew I made a little money this way, but he did not seem to mind. Okay. So why was it pleasant for working for Anil? So it was quite pleasant to work for Anil because he could work at leisure. He could take his own sweet time and buy the day's supplies, and he also made a profit of about a rupee a day by cheating during shopping. And also he was taught how to learn and write. Anil made money by fits and starts. So fits and starts means irregularly or erratically, every now and then, not constantly. He would borrow one week, lend the next. He kept worrying about his next check, but as soon as it arrived, he would go out and celebrate. It seems he wrote for magazines, a queer way to make a living. Okay, so Hari Singh thought that it was a very odd way of making money, that is, by writing for magazines. One evening, he came home with a small bundle of notes saying he had just sold a book to a publisher. At night, I saw him tuck the money under the mattress. I had been working for Anil for almost a month, and apart from cheating on the shopping, which was around 1 rupee a day, I had not done anything in my line of work. Which is what is line of work? Stealing otherwise. I had every opportunity for doing so, but still he didn't. Anil had given me a key to the door and I could come and go as I pleased. He was the most trusting person I had ever met, and that is why it was difficult to rob him. So, this could be a question. Why did Hari Singh not steal from Anil? Because Anil was the most trusting person he had ever met. The conscience of Hari that he could not break the trust of Anil. It's easy to rob a greedy man because he can afford to be robbed because they are greedy, they are never content. But it's difficult to rob a careless man. Sometimes he doesn't even notice he's been robbed, and that takes all the pleasure out of work. So he says it isn't pleasurable or enjoyable to rob a careless man because they don't even know that they have been robbed. But when he robs a greedy man who's never content or happy, he gets a sense of fulfillment. So this is an important section where questions can be asked. So pay attention here. Well, it's time I did some real work, I told myself. So he said, enough is enough. It's a month. I haven't actually done much robbery or I haven't stolen. So it's time that I do that. I told myself I'm out of practice and if I don't take the money, he'll only waste it on his friends. After all, he doesn't even pay me. So this is how he pacifies himself or justifies for robbing from Anil. He says he doesn't pay me, which is one thing. And the second, if I don't take the money, he will just waste the money on his friends. So I rather take it. Anil was asleep. A beam of moonlight stepped over the balcony and fell on the bed. I sat up on the floor, considering the situation. If I took the money, I could catch the 10:30 express to Lucknow. So you would catch this train which went to Lucknow. Slipping out of the blanket, I crept up to the bed. Anil was sleeping peacefully. His face was clear and unlined. Even I had more marks on my face, though mine were mostly scars. So this is the face of a very content, happy, kind and peaceful person. And he's saying, even I had more marks on my face because if you remember, Hari Singh is 15 years old and Anil is 10 years older. My hand slid under the mattress, searching for the notes. When I found them, I drew them out without a sound because he is a very experienced thief, isn't it? So if there is a question about him being an experienced thief, you can write this also. Anil sighed in his sleep and turned to his side towards me. I was startled and quickly crawled out of the room. When I was on the road, I began to run. I had the notes at my waist, held there by the string of my pajamas. I slowed down to a walk and counted the notes. 600 rupees in 50s. I could live like an oil-rich Arab for a week or two. So he was happy that he saw so much money and he said I could live a very lavish life like an oil-rich Arab for a week or two. When I reached the station, I did not stop at the ticket office because he is a thief and he had never bought a ticket in his life, but dashed straight to the platform. The Lucknow Express was just moving out. The train had still to pick up speed and I should have been able to jump into one of the carriages. But I hesitated for some reason. I can't explain and I lost the chance to get away. So that some reason is his guilty conscience that was pricking his mind. So he was feeling a sense of remorse or repentance of cheating a man who completely trusted him. When the train had gone, I found myself standing alone on the deserted platform. I had no idea where to spend the night. I had no friends, believing that friends were more trouble than help, and I did not want to make anyone curious by staying at one of the small hotels near the station. The only place I knew really well was the man I had robbed. Leaving the station, I walked slowly through the bazaar. In my short career as a thief, I had made a study of men's faces when they had lost their goods. The greedy man showed fear. The rich man showed anger. The poor man showed acceptance. But I knew that Anil's face when he discovered the theft would show only a touch of sadness, not for the loss of money, but for the loss of trust. So, this is again a very important part. It could be asked in the examination. So, what did the thief mention about the studying of men's faces when they had lost their goods? I found myself in the Maidan and sat down on a bench. The night was chilly, it was early November, and a light drizzle added to my discomfort. Soon it was raining quite heavily. My shirt and pajamas stuck to my skin, and a cold wind blew the rain across my face. I went back to the bazaar and sat down in the shelter of the clock tower. The clock showed midnight. I felt for the notes. They were damp from the rain. So from 10:30 it was 12 o'clock now and he was just sitting there all alone contemplating what to do. Anil's money. In the morning he would probably have given me 2 or 3 rupees to go to the cinema, but now I had it all. I couldn't cook his meals, run to the bazaar, or learn to write whole sentences anymore. He was saying, this is Anil's money, so even if he's stolen it, he says it doesn't belong to me. It is Anil's money, and maybe probably he would have actually given me a little money to go to the cinema. And he's actually missing cooking food for him, running to the bazaar, doing chores, and actually learning to write whole sentences. I had forgotten about them in the excitement of the theft. Whole sentences I knew could one day bring me more than a few hundred rupees. It was a simple matter to steal, and sometimes just as simple to be caught. So he's saying stealing is not a big deal, and getting caught is also simple. But to be a really big man, a clever and respected man was something else. It wasn't as simple, and he wanted to become a better person. I should go back to Anil, I told myself, if only at least to learn to read and write. So he said, if I learn to read and write, then I can make a lot more money than the money that I've just stolen right now. And if I go now, I will put all that in jeopardy, in danger. So I don't want to jeopardize me being a big, clever, and respected man for a few hundred rupees. I want to learn and write. So he's showing that he's a reformed person, that he wants to be a better man. I hurried back to the room feeling nervous, for it is much easier to steal something than to return it undetected. So, what if he gets caught when he is actually putting the money back? I opened the door quietly, then stood in the doorway in clouded moonlight. Anil was still asleep. I crept to the head of the bed and my hand came up with the notes. I felt his breath on my hand. I remained still for a minute. Then my hands found the edge of the mattress and slipped under it with the notes. I awoke late next morning to find that Anil had already made the tea. So usually it is Hari who makes the tea, but today Anil had made it. He stretched out his hand towards me. There was a 50 rupee note between his fingers. My heart sank. So now he's feeling really bad. I thought I had been discovered. So he thought, oh, maybe my robbery has been discovered. That is why now he is paying me. I made some money yesterday, he explained. Now you will be paid regularly. So I will also regularly pay you. My spirit rose. But when I took the note, I saw it was still wet from the night's rain. So his robbery has been found out. Today we'll start writing sentences, he said. He knew because the notes were wet. But neither his lips nor his eyes showed anything, so he had concealed his emotions. I smiled at Anil in my most appealing way, the same how he had convinced him to actually take him home. And the smile came by itself without any effort. This was a very genuine smile. So here Anil does not punish Hari because he was giving him one last opportunity to reform himself, to become a better person so that he could be educated and he does not have to resort to robbery again. That is why he wants him to start writing sentences and be educated as soon as possible so that he can make money in a more honest way. And it has helped him to turn into a new leaf. That means become a better person. So I hope you enjoyed discussing the line by line explanation with me. Please subscribe if you haven't so that you don't miss any important videos. Until we meet next time with another video, take care of yourselves and God bless.